finish off my dress by sewing on the ruffle at the bottom. For this you'll need 2 strips, approximately 45 inches long and 5 inches wide. Now there are 2 ways we can finish the edge on the ruffle. We can either use a zigzag, and that's a simpler way, and we just fold the edge over and zigzag along, or we can use the hemmer foot, which is a slightly more advanced way, and it gives you a slightly neater finish. So I'm going to start with the zigzag option, and I've set my machine up. I've got stitch 3, the zigzag, the length is 1 and the stitch width is 2, and I'm just going to sew along the edge of my fabric. I'm going to use my foot, the edge of my foot as the guide, and then I'm just going to sew down. So I've finished sewing my zigzag line, and now I'm going to cut back the excess fabric just to neaten it off. Just have to make sure that you don't cut any of your stitches. This is the hemmer foot. This is an optional foot, and it gives you a really nice finish. So now we're going to fold the fabric to fit under the hemmer foot. This is a slightly more advanced way. I'm going to fold my fabric over once and press it, and then fold it again and press it. And now I'm going to place the fabric underneath my foot. The foot automatically folds the fabric over, and then the running stitch stitches the fabric seam down. So we're going to place it underneath the foot and just need to hook it over. Once you've neatened your edges, either by doing the zigzag down the side or by using the hemmer foot, you need to close one of the seams up. We only need to close one of the seams because we don't know how long the fabric will end up once it's gathered. So we close one seam. We're going to gather the fabric using some shearing elastic. That's going to go in the bobbin, and we're just going to do a normal zigzag stitch over the top, and that will bring the fabric together and create our ruffle. So now I'm going to wind my shearing elastic onto the bobbin, and you do that as you would do any normal thread. So I'm all set up, and I'm just going to wind some on. Now I'm going to sew the shearing elastic onto my ruffle to make it gather up. For this I've got a stitch length of 1.5, I've got a stitch width of 3, and because I'm using the shearing elastic, I've altered my tension to 5. You may need to play around with the tension on your machine, but I'll see how I get on with 5. And now we're ready to sew. I've measured the distance from the edge of my fabric in is approximately 1 inch, or I can line up the edge with the last marking on my stitch plate. Sewing my ruffle, and now I need to pin it onto the bottom of my dress. I need to match the side seam that I closed up with the side seam on the dress, and I'm going to pin it so the shearing elastic line is about 1/2 inch in on the dress. I finished pinning my ruffle onto the bottom of the skirt, and now we just need to close the seam up. So I'm going to just make a mark where the side seam falls on both sides. Then I'm going to take a couple of pins out. I'm I'm going to place the fabric right sides together with my marks together, and then I can pop a pin in, and then I can just sew the seam shut. So I've closed my other side seam up, and now I'm going to trim away the excess, and then I would overcast my edges just to neaten it up, and once I've done that I can pin it all onto the dress and move on to sewing the frill on. Now I'm ready to sew the frill on. So I'm going to place it under the machine. I've changed my thread colour to the pink, and I'm just going to sew a wavy line all the way around the top and the bottom of the shearing elastic as a little decorative effect. So I've finished my dress and I'm really pleased with the way it's turned out, and I can go and try it on. I hope you've enjoyed watching this, and I hope it's inspired you to go away and make your own dress using all the different techniques that I've used. So thanks a lot and goodbye.